everyone. This is Pastor Van on Ask Pastor Van. I'm so excited to get connected with you this evening on Ask Pastor Van. On Ask Pastor Van, I take time to answer some of life's most difficult questions about God, the Bible, Christianity, and life in general. Don't forget, if you have questions that are bothering your mind, you can send me your questions on askpastorvan@gmail.com, and make sure you follow our social media platforms as has been displayed on your screen right now. But today, the big question that I'm being asked here is that does science contradict the Bible? Does science contradict the Bible? And this question begs that I answer, what does the Bible teach on evolution? And also, did God create the world in 6 days? So I have a 3-in-1 question that borders on science and the Bible. Does science contradict the Bible? What does the Bible teach on evolution? Did God create the world in 6 days? This is an interesting and a nice question. I'll first of all start by saying that the Bible is not a scientific textbook, although it contains some data on science. The Bible is even not a historical textbook, although it contains some history. The Bible is God's story to God's people, detailing God's redemptive plan for mankind. So when you go to the Bible and you are trying to search through the Bible for scientific data, it may not be as obvious as you would expect it to be. That would be my first sort of response. But the question says that does science contradict the Bible? I don't think science, if there is anything, the Bible does not contradict science, but science rather may contradict the Bible. And this does not mean make science more correct than the Bible. What it shows that science is limited. When it makes its discovery, I believe it will come to the same conclusion as the Bible. I don't see any contradiction. It's just a matter of we human beings growing in our understanding, growing in our knowledge of what God has already done. Science basically is a study of nature. God is a source of nature. God is a creator of nature. So science only discovers or uncovers what God has already done. So I don't see a direct contradiction between science and the Bible. But the question of interest is that what does the Bible teach on evolution? What does the Bible teach on evolution? Does the Bible agree with science on evolution? When it comes to the issue of evolution, there are several schools of thought. There is what we call a group of people called creationists. Creationists are people who believe that God created the universe, God created the world as it is. In a way, I'm a creationist because I believe that God is a source of life, God is a creator of the universe. And then we have atheistic evolutionists. They believe that the world came into existence by chance, either by the Big Bang Theory or by the Big Bang Theory, and then life has evolved over the period. The Bible does not necessarily teach that. The Bible clearly does not teach that. The Bible clearly teaches that God created the universe. But what makes it interesting is that then did God create the universe in 6 days? Since evidence has been found that the earth is about 4.5 billion years old, the universe is about 11 billion years old. How do we reconcile that with the reality of how people have literally interpreted the Bible to mean that the world is about 6,000 to 10,000 years? How do you reconcile that reality? My response to this is very simple and straightforward. When we read the book of Genesis chapter 1, which talks of the fact that in the first day this happened, the second day that happened, and the third day that happened, the word day that is used there, it's not literal 24 hours. It's not a literal 24 hours, because we see in other portions of the Old Testament that talks of day, which means a period of time. So what the Bible is doing in Genesis is that it's telling us what God did per period of time. And that period, the Bible does not tell us whether it is 1,000 years, whether it's 10,000 years, whether it's 1 million years. That's the first thing. What has also made some people interpret or some people come to the conclusion that the earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years is when we read the book of Genesis chapter 5 and chapter 11, we see a genealogy which talks about this person beget this person beget that, this person beget that. Now, when they add up the years, they come to the conclusion, then since creation, the earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years. I don't also see that personally. I'm of the school of the thought that the word beget, or the word give birth to, as the Hebrew puts it, or the word son, as the word Hebrew puts it, can mean grandson, can mean descendant. Like Jesus being called the son of David. Jesus is referred to as the son of David. It doesn't mean he's the exact first generation of King David. It just tells us that he's a descendant of David. So we have all these genealogies talking about descendants. It could be descendants, it could be direct children. And so we can't draw the conclusion that the earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old from the genealogies that we have. When it comes to the issue of evolution, how the earth came into existence, looking at the fact that the earth itself is 4.5 billion years and the universe is about 11 billion years. What is going on here? Why do we have all these different species across the world? Is science wrong in thinking that evolution is what has brought us here? And when it comes to the subject of evolution, we can look at evolution on two fronts. There's what we call macroevolution and microevolution. Macroevolution will be the idea, or will be the thought that life started in a lower form, and over the period life has evolved into higher forms. So you would have a movement from one general species or one class of animal or one class of living thing to another class of living thing. You would have fishes becoming amphibians, and amphibians becoming reptiles, and reptiles becoming mammals. That will be macroevolution. As a Christianist or as a Christian who believes that God is a source of life, I reject that idea entirely. I think the Bible rejects that idea entirely. The Bible is very clear that in the beginning God created. So God is a source of life. God is the author of the universe. Then we have microevolution. Microevolution talks of the idea that within a species there could be changes, there could be sort of adaptations, there could be evolutions, but not from one form of life to another form of life. As a Christianist, I share the same school of thought with creationist evolutionists, or people who believe that God is a source of life but believe that this sort of microevolution is possible. It is possible. For example, I'm an African and we have sheep here in Ghana. When I got to the Netherlands, I realized that the sheep in Netherlands were very different from the sheep here in Ghana. They were more woolly than the sheep here in Ghana. And I will see that the environmental differences. Of course, if you're a sheep in Netherlands, you gotta have thick wool so that you can stand the cold in there. If you're a sheep in Ghana, you don't need that. The sun is already burning you up, so you don't need that. And it happens across. You find birds that have longer beaks than other birds. Some birds would have to develop stronger wings than other birds due to different environmental factors. And so as a result of different environmental factors, there is the possibility that some living things would have different adaptations, and that will lead to different species within the same life form. So that sort of evolution or microevolution is very possible, and I think that the Bible is not against that. When we read the account in Genesis, when God created the animals, it says that they would have life forms after their own kind. And so we can have different species of monkeys, we can have different species of bears, we can have different species of snakes. That is very possible within the constraint that God has given, but not macroevolution. And so to conclude for tonight, is science and Bible in contradiction? I would say no. Science discovers or science uncovers what God has taught. And then did God create the world in 6 literal days? I think that the argument does not lead to that conclusion. And then finally, what of evolution? The Bible is clear. God is the author of life. God is the source of life. He created everything in this universe. But it's possible that we can have microevolution, where within the same life form, within the same species, there could be changes due to different environmental factors and conditions. This has been Ask Pastor Van. On Ask Pastor Van, I take time to answer some of life's most difficult questions about God, the Bible, Christianity, and life in general. You can send me your questions at askpastorvan@gmail.com, or you can put in your comments on this. I'll try to respond to it in my next episode. God richly bless you for staying tuned. Make sure you follow us on YouTube and on Facebook as well. God bless you.